Hello, this is Cuckoo. How are you today? Yeah, you. Hope you're good. I'm pretty good today. Thank you for asking. Today, I want to show you this. This is the Digitone 2 by Electron, a new flagship synthesizer from them, an update and a step forward, and it's really good. With this video, I want to do something a little bit different that I've never done on my channel before. I'm going to read from a script. Never done that before because all of my videos are pure improvisations. And with improvisations, and especially my tutorials, it's all about the context of making music and what challenges you run into along the way. And to learn from the obstacles and the challenges is the key way to learning. I think it sticks. It's a really good way of learning. But with scripted videos, I feel like if you script it, maybe everything is so perfect, so you don't really learn from that as much as when it's actually happening for real. So let me know in the comments below if you like the scripted portion that's coming up very soon, the introduction and overview of the Digitone 2, or if you like the conventional unscripted, that is the later part of this tutorial where I'm just making music and tackling challenges along the way. Let me know. And if you're my patron, my supporters, my gratitude to you, because this is making or breaking it for me. So thank you all my Patreon supporters. If you are the non-supporters, want to support me, head over to Patreon or buy my album that is ready for pre-order now. That is also a great way to support me. It's the Digitone 1 album actually that I made, and it's finally going to be available on a very swaggy, nice album with a super nice cover I've spent so much time with. Enough with that, let's go. So here it is, the Digitone 2 up close. It's so nice. It's a synthesizer where you can create musical or abstract sounds, and with these sounds compose and perform music. It cannot record sounds. It's not a sampler. Sounds are generated in real time. Let's turn it on like so, and let's play a few examples that I've prepared as the boot up sequence. Yeah, another one. Yeah, another one. Yeah, another one. Cool, let's check out another one. Cool, let's check this one out. Yeah, how about this one? epic stuff. stuff. So as you can hear, it's rather versatile. Let's learn how to use it, shall we? I made this dice here to indicate the complexity level of what we're looking at. So let's start with first and get an overview of the basics. These 16 buttons are the main input for playing the keyboard and for editing the musical phrases called patterns. Press the button to play the sound on the corresponding track. Press the keyboard button to toggle keyboard mode on and play the current track as if on a keyboard. Press it again to turn it off. And with these 6 buttons here, you flick between the pages of settings on each track. Trig for note-related parameters. Synth is where the sound is generated. The filters help further process the sound. The amp envelope dictates how the volume of a sound changes over time. The effects can further drastically mangle the sounds in various ways. And the modulation can bring continuous motion to almost any parameter. And the blue labels that you can read underneath the buttons, they can be accessed by holding down the function button and pressing boop, like so. The user interface on the screen is organized in a grid where the top left parameter on the screen is accessed by the top left knob, the bottom right parameter with the bottom right knob, and anything in between. At any given moment, you can press play and stop to start and stop playback. Press the rec button to edit the selected track and manually put in notes onto the timeline. When the rec button is lit, you're in this edit mode, so always pay attention to that. Press rec again to exit. To go to another pattern, press pattern and any of the numerical buttons. When changing pattern during playback, the next pattern will queue up and play once the current pattern has finished. Play, change, queuing up. There's the long pattern. 1 and 2 and. Patterns are organized in banks, so to select pattern number 17 outside of the range of the numerical buttons, you need to hop over to bank B, pattern 1. Press Func and Bank to select another bank, followed by the pattern. Or use the left and right button when you're selecting a pattern. B, A, B, C, select. There is a song mode where you can line up patterns into a list and play the whole list as one long song by just pressing play. These 4 buttons are pretty useful. The arpeggiator is typically used for breaking up chords into repeating note patterns. Plus and minus are for changing the octave of the keyboard. Or with the Func button pressed to transpose tracks. Like so. And finally, note edit is a way to control polyphony and individual timing of even more notes. The sequencer is not limited to just 16 notes per bar anymore. Finally, this row of buttons here are for a bit of everything. This one is for loading and saving sound presets. This is for saving, loading, MIDI sync and other settings. This is for controlling how many voices a track may use. And finally, tempo and metronome. Alright, cool? You with me so far? Those were basics. let's move over to core functionality. And now I'm going to ditch the script because now we need to be creative. And when being creative, I don't like having a script. And along this little journey, I hope that you can borrow my eyes for a little bit and see the machine through my eyes. And then I'm going to try and explain everything as best I can along the way. So, core territory. Let's make a kick drum. How do we make a kick drum? First, I'm going to press pattern, head over to an empty slot. You can see these are lit. That means there are patterns here. If I press an empty slot now, I'm on an empty pattern. And as I told you before, keep an eye on whether or not the rec button is lit. Now it's lit, so now we're in edit mode. So I'm going to unlight it, and now we're in just playback mode. All the sounds of all the tracks sound the same. And even now, before we begin, I'm going to give you a little tip to have in the back of your head. Because there's 16 tracks, it can get a little difficult to remember where you put this or that sound. So I propose to you that you keep like a common structure every time you start making a new music piece. So for me, I've landed on always keeping the rhythmical parts on the lower tracks. And on the upper tracks, I keep the tonal sounds. I always start with kick drum on the left. So let's start with a kick drum. Boom, boom, boom. Now, I want to show you how to create a kick drum from scratch. On this machine, there are currently in firmware 1, 4 different machine algorithms. So 4 ways of creating and generating sounds. In order to select a machine, press function and machine. Boop. And here we go. We've got FM tone, FM drum, Wavetone, Swarmer, and MIDI. MIDI is not a tone, it's for sequencing external gear. All of these machines that you can choose from, they're kind of generic, meaning they're not designed exactly for just one thing. There is no kick drum engine, there's no hi-hat engine, there's no bass synth. It's up to you to create the sounds that you want. I want to create a kick drum, so I'm going to go to FM drum, select it. It's not a kick drum engine we're going into. It's a generic engine, and you can create all sorts of sounds, but it's kind of slewed towards making drum sounds. So the FM drum is selected. Go to synth to see the parameters of the first page there. Anytime you see dots on the side there, that means that this page has several pages, sub-pages. If I keep pressing it, see a little dot moves there. So you can flick through the 4 different sub-pages of this synth engine. Or you can press up and down, auditioning the sound in its initial default state. Doesn't sound like a drum at all, and we need to understand just a little bit of this sound engine to make it sound like a drum. The first page of the FM drum reveals the tuning algorithm there. 2 operator controls here, feedback, fold. The next page is where the FM modulation takes place, and then the 3rd page is where you select how long the sound will be. And the 4th page is like an additional layer of noise and a transient sample snippet that I'll show you in a bit. Let's start out with page 1. Pitch. How about this? Sweep time. You can't hear it because it's dependent on the next one. Sweep depth. Does it sound like a kick drum? Not really. How about just bringing down? Yeah, kind of kick drum territory now. Sweeping the pitch. Faster. Yeah. How about changing the operator waveform? Yeah. How about the feedback? Can't hear any result of the feedback because the feedback is hitting further down in the chain and we haven't introduced that one yet. How about fold? This is wave folding. That's pretty cool. I'm going to head down now to page 2 and introduce some modulation and see what happens. Yeah, how about the other one? Cool. This is the pitch of the modulator. This is the amplitude of the modulator. Just a short little snippet. Cool. I'm gonna head up again and bring it even lower. Ooh. Wow. Cool. The reason why it's just so long is because the third page has a decay that is currently long. How about that? And this is like the easiest way to make a kick drum, but I want to show you the fourth page as well. This is actually a small snippet of a sample that can be laid on top of this sound. I'm going to introduce this layer now. You can hear a kind of a sound there. If I go with this transient selection, I'm going to go through very familiar sounding sample snippets, transients. So for instance, if you think like this, it sounds pretty cool, but it lacks a little bit of, to put this sound into a physical world. And this can be like a quick fix for that. How about this? And make it shorter. Maybe hold it for a bit. Just like so, like a small hint of a little without the sound. It's pretty cool. And down here you can have additional noise. Cool. How about making it slightly shorter? Go in here. Less of that wave folding. Now, here we go. Okay, let's try and do it again, but make a snare drum. Then we have like a kick drum and a snare drum. Do the same thing here. Select the machine. FM drum, yes. Synth. So how do we make a snare drum? Maybe I'll start by going down here and just muting the synth sound and going to the fourth page and bringing up the sample transient. How about that? So I'm gonna get a little help from this sample transient. It's already sounding pretty nice. I'm gonna blend in the synth sound now. See what we can do. Go up here, tune it. Yeah, cool. I'm gonna use this sweep. Try the fold again. And now I'm gonna go down and see if we can find, like, FM synthesis is exploring. Doesn't sound like snare drum, so we're going to bring up the modulation and start searching for frequencies. How about this? Kind of metallic bonk. And then I'm going to head down there and make it shorter. Yeah, it's a start. And now I'm going to introduce the feedback, see what happens. Yeah, it's not too bad. Now I'm going to head down there and try to increase the noise and see what happens. filter it out with grain. And also use the filter here. Gonna narrow the filter of the noise. And now, in order to make it even kind of beefier, I'm gonna head over to the effects of this sound and introduce some bit reduction. And maybe some overdrive. And maybe some sample rate reduction. And find a sweet spot there. Yeah. Make it shorter. Check these out. Yeah. Yeah, so that's a little snare drum. Okay, let's make a little groove with this. If I press play now, it just starts playing like so. If I want to record in real time, I can press rec and play, and this is flashing. That means it's recorded in real time. But if I record in real time now, I don't have anything in reference, so it's going to be all over the place. So here on the tempo page, we have the metronome, and I will turn it on like so. Lower left corner. Now we have a very nice little metronome to listen to. So if it's still flashing, we're still live recording. So if I now yeah. Did you notice that I had kind of sloppy input timing, and then it was corrected, and now it's like super tight. Exactly on the metronome. That's because when I was recording, I wasn't paying attention, maybe you were, but the moment we press rec and play, look up here in the screen. It says rec quantized, live rec quantized. If I'm pressing rec and play again while that little display is showing, it says rec unquantised, quantized, unquantised. So at any time I can decide whether I want to record quantized, which means corrected timing, or unquantised, which means it's going to capture exactly the timing as I input it live. So if I want to record it again with unquantized timing, how do I do that? How do I record again, or how do I erase and record again? If I, in this state, press function and clear, I'm going to clear the whole pattern, but not the sounds of the pattern. Clear. And that is the way to clear the whole pattern. If I messed up and felt like, oh no, I was just going to clear one track, not the whole pattern. Now I have to do everything again. Press function and clear again, and we'll undo that action. And this only works if you do immediately after you clear. If you've done anything else and then clear it, it's just going to clear it again. So now I just showed you how to mess up, and it is now cleared and gone. I can't undo unless I do it straight away. So now it's empty. Let's do it again. Rec and play. Did you see that? Did you see what happened there? I pressed rec and play. It was waiting for me. It was counting in. Why is that? And how can we control that? Well, on the tempo screen is something I did previously. So this setting is remembered from session to session. So we can see here there's something called Preroll, and it says 1 bar. The default is off. So when I press rec and play, it's just going to start recording. But if I set the pre-roll to 1 bar, 2 bars, wow, 16 bars. That's insane. You can like start recording, head over to the control room, sit down by the drum pad, get ready, and hope that you still keep counting. That's fun. Right, so let's keep it on 1 bar. That's helpful. So rec and play, quantized, unquantized, unquantized. All right, let's do it again. Rec and play, unquantized. So now we had like something that is not very tight on the grid. It's not quantized. I want to look at the timing now. So for instance, a kick drum. Press the kick drum track, enter this edit mode, and now you can see everything that is lit is where there is a trig, a note. And you could hear that when I started, it didn't play this note. That means that it's a little bit early. I was pressing the note slightly ahead of time. And how do we see the timing? Well, you can see here it says micro time on the arrows here. So whenever I keep a note pressed, I can already now see a little hint that this is actually a little bit to the left. So if I press these, I get this little micro timing scale there. I say, well, you press it slightly ahead of time. And then I can correct it or change it. I could change the micro timing in very fine increments. Now it's a little late. You can hear the metronome. So you can correct the timing on every note manually if you want to. There's also something here called quantized. This is not a destructive quantized. It will not change the micro timing that is stored in the notes. It's in a layer above that. So function and quantize, track 9, which we're on now, 100. So regardless of how off I put this trig now, it's always going to be on the beat. Now, I want to start over. So I'm going to clear this pattern again, get out there, and next time I'm going to record quantized mode. But I want a third sound to make it a little more fun. So how about loading a sound, a preset? I'm going to put it here, some sort of hi-hat sound, and press this button here. This is where you load presets and kits. So I'm going to load a preset, load. So how do I listen to it? Oh, that's nice. But I want a hi-hat sound now. On the left here, you can see a little arrow appearing. So if we press left here on the keyboard, we get a little menu. Usually, if there is an arrow on the right, you can take actions. A menu on the left is more like options. So we go down here, we can see filter, and I want to filter out hi-hat sound. So any sound now that is labeled and tagged with a hi-hat is going to show up here. Let's see, we've got. How about this one? Cool. Yes, I want that sound. Now it's loaded onto this track. You're going to see me hitting no a number of times. That is a way to exit menus. All right, I want to make this a little shorter. I'm going to see the synth engine there. Retune it. Yeah, that's pretty cool. It sounds more like a metallic bell. Now let's record again. I want to record a longer sequence. This is just 1 bar, and we can see that by these LEDs here. Just 1 bar long. In order to make a longer recording, we need to add more bars to this pattern. So press function and setup. Now, as we're here, we can start adding steps to add length. A way to add a page at a time is just press page. Press page again. 1 more time. Now it's 4 bars long. And I'm happy. Press no to exit. So now it's going to record for 4 bars. And I want to record quantized. But I want quicker. So yeah, how about 170? That's a nice tempo. Rec and play. Yeah, that's pretty fun. You know, mishaps that are corrected is cool. Gonna head into metronome, turn it off again. Yeah, I like it. Cool. Rhythms here. Now I'm going to go for a tonal sound on my upper row here. Going to bring in a bass. Let's make a bass from scratch. So which sound machine should we choose? FM tone is by far the most complex one. FM drum is complex, but somewhat simpler and more experimental at the same time. Wavetone and swarmer. Let's try the wavetone. So, synth. Starts out like sounding exactly the same, but it's very, very different. So on the first page here, we see this. So we've got two operators with pitches, volume, and waveform. Phase. If you want to reset one of the parameters, or you want the value to snap to predetermined values, hold function while twisting the knob. This one is shifting by octave. These are shifting by waveform. This is resetting. So I'm going to take one completely out, bring one up. How do we make a bass out of this? How about turning it down first? Going to bring in the keyboard. I'm going to make it a bit sharper. Let's see which sound wave. Right now we can see that we are changing sound waves between a sine wave, triangle, a saw, and a square. On page 2 of this sound engine, we can select whether we want to use just primary waveforms or the harmonic wavetables. So now it's a completely different set of sounds. And this, it's a little lower than... So I'm going to bring up the level of this track. Like so. I could even go to the amp page and up the volume there. Cool. And while on the amp page, I'm going to make it shorter release. Maybe like so. Let's introduce something. I'm going to check out the next page and see if we can do something here. Wow, there is a noise on the last page. We got noise type, tune noise. We got an actual envelope dictating how the noise should be volumized over time. Very short. What I want to do now is to add an effect here. Let's see what bit crush does. A bit crazy. Let's try overdrive. Wow, sample rate. Cool. Let's go to the filter. We haven't been there yet, have we? So the filter is a place where you can use the standard filter. Up the resonance. If you're not familiar with this, it's sort of like an EQ that is shaving off the top end of the frequencies or the bottom end of the frequencies, and exactly in the cutting point you resonate even more and accentuate that frequency. And this can be automated with this little envelope here. So just add some envelope. Gonna let it play and tweak the parameters of the sound. Okay, let's try it. Cool. I did a few mistakes. I'm going to record again. So we know how to function and clear the whole pattern. But in order to function and clear just the track, head into this mode, edit mode. You see the track now, and you press function and clear. Now, when this is lit, you're gonna clear only that track sequence and nothing else. Now exit. Yeah, so now we're gonna record again. Rec and play. I feel like I should have like a very fast hi-hat, like tick, 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 tick. Let's do that. We've got this here. I'm gonna add a hi-hat. Let's load a hi-hat, load, and we're still looking for hi-hats. We can actually play and audition at the same time. How about this? Yeah, it's just a noise. So I'm gonna go into this edit mode, just add a bunch of hi-hats and see what it sounds like. Yeah, that's actually really cool. What I want to do now is like momentarily make the sound a little longer. And this particular sound, let's see, where is the length? It might be here on the synth page. Maybe it's not. It might be here on the amp page. Yeah, we can see it's really short there. So one thing I want to show you now is how to automate a little change on a parameter. We can go to the modulation page. We've got 3 modulators. I'm going to pick the first one. I'm going to send this value here to one of the parameters, specifically the amp decay parameter. So this is now going to wobble a little bit. Okay, mod destination. I'm going to send this waveform to, actually this is kind of nerd territory now. Send it to amp decay time. How much? Yeah, so now it's cycling through this waveform here. More or less, more or less. I want to make it faster. Oh, that's so nice. So every time we start now, it's going to start at a different place on this waveform. We can even select a random waveform and make it start every time this is triggered. But I kind of like a waveform that is predictable in this case, 16. Cool, yeah, I'm going to use that. Now, we just edited the first page. How do I get to the next page? Well, there's several ways to do it. You could just keep pressing page, like so, and you see the indication there on what page you're on. But you can also keep and press and move like so, or just press the number of the corresponding page. Now, if we're on page 1 and I want to copy everything on page 1, hold page and copy. Move to the next one and paste. Next one, paste. Next one, paste. And release. How about changing the speed so it's not like exactly lining up with the tempo? This here that I changed before is the multiplier of the speed. This is the speed. So now if it's exactly like holding funk here, exactly on one of these values, it's going to line up with the tempo. But if it's something else like outside, it's going to not line up. So it's going to flow a bit and be a little bit more organic. I'm going to head to page 1 here and see if I can compose the hi-hat a little bit more at will. Now it's just everything. Like for instance, like so. Yeah, I like that. Let's move to page number 2. Like now, in order to hear just page number 2 and not having to wait for it to arrive, hold page, and you can see just the way we can jump between the pages to edit. Below here, we can also select which page we want to listen to. So now when this is green, it means we're going to listen to only page 2 on all of the tracks right now. So it's going to momentarily just stay on page 2. Yeah, like so. Gonna head to page 3, do the same thing there. Focus on page number 3. And then page number 4. Dum, 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 dum. Yeah, how about that? And now release the focus and listen to the whole pattern. Yeah, it's pretty cool. If we want to override the modulation change that we did, and we want to guarantee that it's always going to be a long sound on one of the trigs, we have to make a little adjustment on just that trig. So let's see. So this one, I want this to be long. Now keep and hold this. I can change any of the parameters anytime I want. So here, I want to change it to longer. It's still being affected by this, so I would have to kind of reset this momentarily. Okay. Yeah. It's a little bit too long. I'm gonna make it maybe like so. Yeah, cool. Now we can take that trig that we have changed, copy it. Yeah, copy that trig and paste it wherever we want it. Paste. How about this? Cool. Now I want a chord and a melody. Let's do that. Let's make another sound. Let's explore another machine. We did the Wavetone. Let's explore the Swarmer, shall we? Cool. I'm gonna head into the keyboard. The Swarmer is a peculiar sound engine. Noise, animation, one, several, width, swarm, yeah, that's pretty cool. And it's just one page, so this, even though it's kind of dirty and it's moving around, it's a little bit lively. It's just on one page, so it's easy to get accustomed to. Something like that. See, do we need a filter? I need to show you something. We'll see if we end up using it. But the filter also has machines. So function and machine. And now we can select the filter machine. And multi-mode is a very universally useful one. And we've got low pass 4, but we've got new comb filters and a nifty EQ. So let's try a comb plus. All right, selected, synth, filter, feedback. Oh yeah, I forgot the dice. We've probably been here for a while, but now we're kind of back here. A comb filter is a filter that feedbacks to itself. So it filters and then feedbacks and filters and feedbacks. And the buffer the delay of how long time it takes for it to feedback is creating this tone. So very slow. You can actually hear it now. And then the filter itself and the feedback. And this can be tuned to the keyboard. If we head into page number 2 of the filter, there's something called key tracking over here. If we set this to 100, the main filter will move with the keyboard. So head over to the filter again. And the envelope can move the frequency. Maybe it chorus. Is that bonkers? Gonna head into the amp here and bring it down. Cool. Now we're back at core functionality here. I can play with metronome and keyboard. Okay, we got a bass, we got some drums, we got this chord. Now I want a melody here. So let's go to the synth, and now we're on the engine called FM Tone. This is the most complex one, and it requires a lot of nerd time in order to perfect it, but you can still do like a really cool sound really quickly and just have a basic understanding of how it works. So a quick explanation of the FM tone is that we've got 4 operators. Each operator is emitting its own sound at its own frequency, so its own pitch. And you can listen to all of them in some of the algorithms and constellations, but the fun part is to make one operator alternate the pitch of another operator, and in doing so creating new harmonics. So let's listen to this, head over to synth page 2 and increase the modulation level. You could hear that. Take the other one. Similar. This change can be automated over time, like we did with the FM drum. Change this. Increase it. Keyboard. And we can see here on the algorithm that it's flashing and how they are connected. So this one is raising the amplitude of operator A and the level of which it is sending itself into operator C. And operator C is the carrier, which is the final destination, which is the one carrying the main pitch of the sound. Yeah, cool. You head up again to the main page. We can change the pitch, the ratio of operator A here. Some constellations, especially the even numbers, or the full numbers, they will sound musical. So if this is ratio 1 and 1, they have the same pitch. It sounds like that. If it has twice the pitch, it sounds like that. Hollow and sort of like a square wave. 3, it sounds like that. And if the operator is below in pitch, it's going to sound like this. Sometimes unexpected undertones will appear. Yeah. Or unexpected overtones and kind of dissonant harmonics will appear. Now I'm changing the attack. This is cool. A little less of that. So this is connected like so. A is going into C. The operator B and B, these two guys, they're going into just in between A and B. So that is also ending up in C. So let's change this as well now. So it's about finding interesting harmonics that appear. I'm going to head up here again and try and change the B and see if unexpected and fun things happen. And now there's something called detune here, which will kind of skew the pitch a little bit across the different operators. Let's try that. That will introduce some sort of wobbling. And now we've got feedback. Maybe you could try that. It sounds a little bit harsh, and that's typical of FM synthesis before you really fine tune and dial in the right sound. Oh, let's see. Let's try another constellation of the operators called algorithms. Now it's algorithm number 1. This one is a little bit interesting because you can see here X and Y. This is going out into X and this is going out into Y. By the way, I think we're nerds now, right? So in the mixer, we can select where we want the mix to put out sound. Let's listen to it in context. So I need a much sharper sound to cut through the mix here. Okay. Make it shorter as well. And maybe even go to effects and bring in some. Yeah, how about that? And modulate a little vibrato. Let's go and send the modulation to pitch all. Yes. Faster. Fade it in. Yeah, how about that? That is fun. Cool. I'm going to record that with the metronome and on rec and play. Yeah, I'm sending to the delay here. How do we change the delay engine? Well, we see send effects here. Function and send effects will go into the effects section and actually change the different effects. We've got delay, reverb, and chorus. I'm going to head to the delay here and change it to be stereo because I like that. Ping pong on with right and left. I like this. Also low pass filter here, so make it softer and softer. So now I want to make the delay even softer. Now we're in nerd territory here. I don't want to send to the delay immediately. I want to increasingly send to the delay. Gonna bring it back. No delay. Head to the modulation. Second modulation. I want to send a modulation to effect delay send. Yeah. I'm gonna send this to the delay. I'm gonna start it every time. Increase it even slower. So this way, we're never going to have this cutting, snappy delay in the beginning. It's going to be an increasing and soft delay. Cool. I'm going to flip this over now to core functionality again. Sorry for forgetting about this, but I thought it was a good idea. I keep forgetting about it. Now we're at the stage. I'm going to save it. How do we save it? Just press function and save, and it will save it. Press yes, and now it's saving. I realized that I forgot to tell you how to manage projects. So let's get to that. In this menu, the settings menu, there is this menu called project. Yes. Load project, save project, manage project. If you go to manage project, you get a list on all of the projects. And if you want to create a whole new project, you go to the empty slot here, and you can see a little arrow there on the right side, action menu, initialize new. Yes, clearing, and there you go. Now there is a new project here. Action menu again and rename it. And anytime you're renaming stuff, you can press this little cogwheel here to get a little idea. Detailed misery, compact eyebrow, rocketing, yeah. But otherwise, there is a little explanation here, instructions of how to use the keyboard. Function, no, means erase. Function, yes, insert space. Function, arrows, release. Go there, function, delete, like a computer keyboard. A test. Okay, now it's renamed. It's called a test. Yeah, so that is a completely fresh start with nothing in it. Now I just happen to be in my own project here, so I'm just gonna keep going here. So where are we now? Let's press the pattern here. We're on pattern number 5 in bank C. I want to copy this. Function copy, copy pattern, head to pattern 6 and function and paste. Now I copied and pasted a pattern. So now these two are identical. Now I can safely destroy this pattern by introducing something called control all. Let's do that. This is cool functionality, but it's bonkers. So what I'm going to do now is hold down track, and while doing so and making a change on any of the parameters, you're going to change the parameters on all of the track at the same time. Now it's very difficult to know what's on the different tracks because there can be different sound engines. So one change here may be doing something completely different on another track. But let's do it anyway. I'm going to play track, go to the synth engine, change this parameter. How about this? So this could be really crazy because some of this, like here, I'm changing algorithm. On a different track, I might be changing pitch. So it's a bit unpredictable. And now we ended up here, which is a bit bonkers. How do I undo this? Well, there are different ways to tackling this. It's why I made a copy to show you that now I've changed it and it's destructive, so it's permanent. I've done these changes and now it's destroyed. And whereas the previous one is still intact, this one is destroyed forever. So what we can do, I'm going to do it again. I'm going to take this, copy, go there, paste it. And now I'm going to save, because every time I save, I create a safe returning point. So if I destroy it again, maybe from the kick drum, track, now, as I'm keeping this, I can press no to exit this. And that has nothing with a save to do. It's just like at the moment I'm doing all of that, I can just exit and reload from when I started to change it all up. That's one way, and it doesn't involve saving. Another way is to do it again. Doing another one. And now press function and reload. That's going to take you back to the previously saved state. But there is another way of doing this as well, like making gradual changes and then bringing it back to the original. And it's this little thing here called perform. Now, listen to this. If I hit perform, like function and perform, this is blue, perform kit is on. Now maybe this is like nerd territory again. Now we're in perform mode. I can go into the kick drum here, make changes on the filter on everything. Go to the effects. Amp, make short amp. Go to synth again. Filter. Now we totally destroyed it, but now if we exit the perform mode, it's going to be back to normal. So let's do that. Function and perform again. And the next time I go into perform mode, I'm going to start from scratch. So that's a much safer way to do like momentary crazy accents and expressions and then just back out. So let's do it again just to show you in context. Normal. I want to do something crazy. Go into perform. Gonna head to the kick drum, synth. Snare drum. Reverb. Retune the snare drum. Fold. And now we made this crazy thing. Maybe I'm gonna go to effects, make the delay longer. Make the reverb longer. Yeah? Mayhem. And now I'm gonna exit. 1, 2, 3, and. Yeah, how about that? Now there's one thing here that I kind of, I call it prod prod as in producer, or prodding around and poking around and different, just fine-tuning stuff. If you're a producer, you want to kind of make sure that the end sound is like perfect. And there are numerous ways to do it. You can mix and master each sound and so forth. But at the end of it, there is a master compressor as well. So let's take a look at that. Function and mixer. At the top here, we see we have a lot of pages here. Here's the compressor, the mixer, and also a master overdrive. Let's try the compressor out, shall we? So let's listen to it. Now we're not listening to it. It's always active, but it's not always audible. The default state is to have it non-audible. But we can still see this bar going like crazy. A compressor works like this. Audio is coming in. The audio level is hitting a threshold. And when the amplitude is above the threshold level, it will try to duck the amplitude in order to not make it as loud as the threshold. And you can decide how fast and how quickly it should react to that. If it's very fast, we almost can't hear the transient, like the snappy kicks and snare drums, and it'll just be capped. But if it's a little slower, we can still hear some of that going through and hear some of the energy in the snapping sounds. Yeah, and the ratio is deciding how much to duck it or to cap it. Like really aggressive, then it's going to be like really flat. This one is still going to be audible, but it's going to be a bit gentler. And release time, we're talking about how fast it reacts for it to duck. But then the release time is like when the incoming sound is not above the threshold anymore. How fast will it go up to normal volume again? That's the release time. And typically a high release time will make it sound much softer. And a high attack time will let through the initial kind of energy, like snapping sounds. So let's try it on this track and see what it sounds like. And then in the end, it's like how much of the compressed sound do you want to mix in? Right now, the default value is 100% dry, so no compression. And then how much makeup gain do you want to apply? How much do you want to take this compressed sound and raise the volume? Because you've effectively reduced the volume, and then you might want to increase the volume to match the overall volume expectations, and maybe even use that to crank the volume further up than it was possible before because it was too dynamic. All right, let's try it. We can see here that the threshold value is very low, so it's like hitting extremely hard. It's always almost above the threshold. So let's just mix it in and see what it sounds like. It sounds a little bit nervous, like it's like constantly changing the volume up and down and creating a kind of uncertainty. Yeah. So what I'm going to do, what I like to do when I try a compressor out, I'm going to set the threshold at the maximum, no makeup gain at all. And then, yeah, the attack time could be some medium low values. And then I'm going to take the ratio really high, so it's kind of really aggressive. All right, and now I'm going to run it. And the first thing I'm going to do is to lower the threshold until I see activity. And then I'm going to listen to it. Now it's like super aggressive. But we can also hear another thing that's interesting. You hear the delay. It sounds like the delay is actually outside of the compressor and mixed in afterwards. And this is nice because sometimes reverb and delays, they kind of get lost in compression. And if everything is compressed, the delay and the reverb will also be compressed, and sometimes it's really nice to have it afterwards. But if we really want it to be before and also be compressed, we can change that. Function and setup. Yeah, this is still producer, I think. Yeah. So we can go into the function and setup compressor routings. You can see here, all of these sounds are going into the compressor and going to be compressed. We can lock things out. Like now the kick drum is outside of the compressor, as you can hear. How about snare drum? Or the bass? Or the chord? Like now it's extreme, but it's only to kind of illustrate the point. But this could be beneficial. Sometimes you just need a total control of the kick drum, for instance, so you leave it outside of the compressor. But now we're looking for the settings for the delay, and it's on page 2 on this side. So in and send effects. So now the send effects are also compressed. The default value seems to be that they're outside of the compressor. Cool, now you know. So let's head over there, function and mixer again, and try and dial in a sound that is going to help us. This is too extreme. Threshold. Yeah. Quick attack. Slow attack. Slow release. Something like that. Gentler ratio. Makeup game. And now I'm gonna mix between dry, compressed. Sometimes producers, they use this term called glue. It glues it all together. And like a compressor helps to glue the mix together. And it's a fuzzy term, but what it really means is that when everything is uncompressed, all the different sounds, they have their own little volume and everything is controlled independently. But once a compressor is part of the mix, everything is suddenly moving together a little bit. And that is kind of making the whole mix have something in common. And that little element of togetherness is kind of helping everything come together in some weird way. But generally speaking, a compressor is used to kind of flatten and tame and make it sound more gentle and fixing little issues here and there and making it all just a smoother experience. But it can be used creatively as well. We've got something here called sidechain filter. A sidechain filter, what is that? Well, here you can select whether you want the whole amplitude to be measured by all of the frequencies in the mix, and that value will dictate whether the threshold is met or not. But the default value here seems to be somewhere around 10 or something. That means that the lowest sub frequencies in this mix is not going to trigger the compressor. And I think that's probably wise to have a slightly above the sub. But if we're going to explore this now and see what it really means musically, we can see, like, let's have only the highs go into the controls of the compressor. And let's see what happens then. Now we can see the threshold is not met because there are no really loud sounds this high up in the frequency range. You can bring it down. See, yeah, we see some there, like the snare drum and hi-hats. I'll bring down the threshold a bit. Only the snare drum. And now the further down we go, the more of the complete mix is now being measured. You can keep going. Now it's only reacting to the lower frequencies, cutting away the high frequencies. So let's see. Like the kick drum and maybe bass. And furthermore, what we can do is not to use the whole mix to control the compressor, but we can select just the track. Now we happen to know that the kick drum is on track 9, so how about letting track 9 control the compressor? So now every time a kick drum comes in and meets the threshold, only the kick drum, only this track, not this track, nothing will happen here, then the compressor will be kind of ducking. And now a slow release time here. And that's pretty cool. And even more, what we can do is to keep going here, and then we get to in, left and right. We can actually have an external source coming in and becoming the controller of the compressor. And that could be anything, like an external kick drum machine, or a vocalist, or something completely different. Cool. I'm gonna dial this down to compressor. It's getting too long. It's getting too long. I'm sorry. If you made it this far, though, you're an absolute legend. So thank you so much for watching. I'm going to continue this journey on the Digitone 2 in another video, because this is getting out of hand. And yes, let me know in the comments what you want to see in a follow-up video. And if you want to support me, you know where to do that. Patreon, or buy my patches, get and pre-order my album, or yeah, just give me a high five, follow my channel, and yeah, all good, all good. Hope you're good, everyone. And if you have a Digitone 2, I hope you're getting along with it. More to come, more to come. Right, see you soon.